Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to share with you a Gorgeous Girl art journal process video for the Aunty Vera Scrap and Craft June 18 Coffee and Friends kit. So to start with, I just take my Prima Confections watercolors and I'm just using the little tray there to make a lighter brown color, sort of like a bit of a tea looking color. And I just put that on with my water brush to make a nice soft background. And then I go in with a darker color up the top there and spritz some water on it so that it will run. And I sort of put some runs down the page there so it looks a bit like a spill. But I then go in and dab it with just a baby wipe to sort of soften the colours a little bit again so it's not too dark. I then dry that off before I start the next layer. So for the next layer I use the texture paste from the kit and I mix it with just some brown acrylic paint that I had in my stash. So that the texture's already coloured. And then I use the Splash Kaisercraft stencil that's also from the kit to put this big splash at the top. And I also use some of the droplets on the page. I'm just putting that on with my palette knife and try and making it nice and smooth. The paint that I used did wet the texture paste a little bit more than I was used to, so it did sort of smear under the stencil a little bit, but for this page it didn't matter so much because it's a little bit of a messy layout anyway. But I wanted it to look like the splash there was kind of like rain dripping down the page, but it's like a coffee rain maybe instead. So I then dry that off as well. And that's sort of the background for this layout done. It's very simple. I'm sticking to the brown tones. If you've seen my previous Gorgeous Girl layout, I'm making a mini Gorgeous Girl booklet here inspired by a mirror in Oz here on YouTube. And for all 12 of my layouts in this book, I'm going to make them sort of monochromatic, so using various shades of the one tone. So this layout will all be in brown tones to match the coffee theme. So I then watercolor this mini Gorgeous Girl here. This is the one holding an umbrella that you can see there. I stamped this using archival ink and already cut it out off camera so that it was ready. And I'm just using the Prima Confections watercolors again. There's only one brown in this, so I'm blending it with different amounts of yellow and white to make some sort of different tones. So there's a really deep brown, the lighter tone, the kind of muddied brown with the yellow added in, and a lighter version of that as well. So I'm just colouring her with my water brush there. And again, keeping her just very monochromatic and simple. I add in a little bit of shadow under the umbrella and put some highlights on there, and I go in and darken up the little love hearts that are on her raincoat as well. So once she's coloured and all dried off, I then figure out where I'm going to place her. She fit kind of well on the left there, but I decided to put her on the right because I wanted the sort of splashes to be hitting her umbrella. So I'm just using some Ranger multi-matte medium to stick her down. This is great because it's a glue and a sealer. I'm just using my finger because, as you can see in the jar there, it's sort of the bottom of the jar and it's gotten a bit gluggy on the bottom there, so rather than clog up a brush I just often use my finger. And I then go back in with some of the leftover texture paste I had mixed with the acrylic paint to add a few more droplets there and put some over the Gorgeous Girl so the rain's kind of hitting her umbrella there. I then stamped this sentiment, got caffeine, from the Sizzix stamp and die set that's also part of the kit. And then I decide that it needs something on the left of the page there. So I take the washi tape from the kit, which is coloured, and I initially wasn't going to use it because I want all the brown tones. So I decided that I would try going over it with my watercolours. I found that they did rub off a little bit, but if you heat set them, then they stayed on. So this here washi tape, it keeps a little bit of the colour through, but it's just kind of made it and more brown tones and made it look a little bit vintage. So that might be a fun technique if you want to use some washi tape on a page and make it look vintage. In this case, it fits the coffee theme nicely. And that is my page done. It's very simple, but I think it's a cute little layout. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing my process for this, and thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.